Alright, hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to the Chamber. We're going to be taking a look today at Agents of Destruction versus one of the new Set 12 deck, King Piccolo. Tim, why don't you say a little bit about your take on King Pick?
Hey, what's going on, guys? King Pick is like a nice, I guess, take on like red mid-range, almost like somewhere in between like the super control of Boma and like the super aggro of Red Broly. Right, you have like a bunch of defense in the form of like your free negates, in the form of your drum blockers and stuff like that. But it all kind of revolves around the unison, which it creates kind of a funnel. So it gets harder for tall decks to beat. But go wide strategies can really end up putting a number on them, as you can see here. So my turn one is I play this card, Piano Reign of Terror. That essentially is a draw engine because a lot of the cards require you to play cards like that. When you swing your leader, you take a card from your hand, you put it in your life, and then you take a card from your life and put it in your hand. You keep that card face up, and the card's abilities all play off of your life being face up.
Yeah, it draws you like a
draw from the piano.
Yeah, it draws you literally an extra card every turn on both players' turns. So it's incremental advantage, but it will really add up over the course of a game.
Definitely. It's also tied to your awaken condition, which you just need 2 cards face up in life, and then you can awaken. We can get ahead to you're swinging at lead, it looks like.
Yeah. So my first turn's pretty simple. I just play out the 1-drop Bobbity. For those of you that don't know Agents of Destruction, their whole gimmick is that basically they run a bunch of 3-cost cards, and the leader plays 2 costs or less, but you have this little Bobbity that makes them cost 1 less in hand. So once you have all your pieces, your leader just plays like a free card every turn. So your first turn is usually just playing the Bobbity. My second turn is I play an Agents of Destruction Strike Back and get I add 2 agents to my hand. The card is literally like, if you guys know Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like Pot of Greed. It basically just says draw 2 cards at the top of your deck and you may take a life for no energy. It's one of the most absurd support pieces on the planet. The rest of my turn is spent playing Turles, who's kind of like the incremental card advantage for the deck. Every time he attacks, I get to check the top 5 and add any agent. So not as much as Piano, but it's a lot of quality. The big thing here for me is that I choose to take no life at all whatsoever on my turn, and in hindsight, I probably should have taken 1. You don't end up capitalizing on it, but if I had leaving myself at 7, you had the option to just not ever attack me and leave me kind of stranded. So I probably should have put myself down to 6 here instead of staying at 7. But otherwise, again, most of my turn is just set up and getting card advantage in play.
Right. But so I start my turn. Pretty typical turn 2 play. You play the 2-drop Unison. Arguably the best red Unison in the game, just because we have the extremely powerful board clear.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean,
for this deck.
Yeah, there might be a couple other fringe arguments, but none of them are going to cost 2 energy. This card's like a red player staple.
And you don't have to spend energy to wipe, which is crazy. You actually just get to spend your energy in red on cards that you play, which is absolutely clutch, because once you start pulling from that pool to start playing defense or start doing any form of support or search or draw or anything, it really, really affects the red deck, regardless of what it is.
Yeah, red's energy is always really tight, so the amount of free stuff that this card gives you, because it's not just the board wipe, but it also makes it really difficult for some decks to play counterattacks and counterplays, since they keep having their own battle cards get blown up every time they do that.
Definitely.
And red also usually has a hard time getting cards on hand, so the fact that he just is a +1 to draw a card, I mean it's just an all-around very, very powerful unison.
Right, so then you'll see here, that's why I end up playing the Symbol out of life. So Symbol is one of those Demon Clan cards that you get to play out of life through a comboing system when the leader is awakened.
Right.
Basically, you combo with the card. When the combo is over, the card comes into play. You chose not to counterplay the card. So Symbol came out. What Symbol allows you to do is bottom a Demon Clan from drop area underneath your Unison to draw 1 and uptick your Unison 1. So yeah. I don't have any Demon Clans in the drop right now, so I gamble right? I gamble with another tambourine because I already charged one, and I combo with one here to send it to drop to then uptick the unison and draw one.
Yeah, and I think that's the right choice to get you the uptick and the draw. Just mostly for the uptick because you need to keep the unison alive. The bigger thing here is like I talked about before is like you pushing me down to 4 lives. That's the thing that you can do against Agents of Destruction in general. They can only typically take 2 of their own lives every turn, and they get much better once they're awakened. So sometimes slow rolling the deck and just not swinging and letting them like stick around on their front side can win you the game. So
right.
They get so much free energy. They get like 3 free energy basically every turn once they're awakened, like effectively, because you get to play a free
definitely.
3-drop. Yeah.
And you'll see, I'll be flipping the card for the activate battle for the leader ability shortly. when you activate it, you're supposed to flip a card face up into life, and then combo with a card from your life. I have yet to replenish my life total, as you'll see.
Yeah,
but I'm swinging with right. But so the point of the symbol ability was to uptick to 3, so that I could free play the Piccolo, which you Garlic Jr. Counterattacked when I swung.
Yeah, I use my negate here because I don't want to go to 3 too early against you. I'm happy to go to 4, but I don't want to go to 3.
Right. Yeah. I was really hoping you were going to 3. As you can probably tell from my plays going on, I definitely revolved some of my plays around it. Because I, in my hand right now, have, I believe, 2 super combos. But I chose not to play them, thinking that you would just take the damage because you didn't want to pitch too much of your hand. I suppose that was a little arrogant.
Yeah,
but you ended up negating anyway, so it didn't really matter.
Yeah, and then you end up killing the Garlic Jr. with the Piccolo auto from your unison, since it's the only target that you actually have. We're going over that right now.
Yep.
But again, that's just like why that card is good. Like, granted, like I get an unusually large amount of value off of Garlic Jr., but you know, there are negates that play themselves and whatnot too, and the fact that they just immediately die, which is like the whole appeal to them, is great. And if I was played like, I mean, like I'm in a Rainbow deck, but like a Shocking Death Ball or Power Burst, and then lose a card like right after that, it really adds up over the course of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So my options going forward are a little limited. I know we're discussing the thing, but I think I'm just plotting out what I'm doing next. Swing Unison after this whole explanation.
Yeah, after that whole back and forth over like what you're actually allowed to kill with Pick Unison. We're gonna talk about it for a bit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and you sent it to me, and like I said, I'm perfectly willing and happy to go to 4. I think the biggest thing for you, or like for people in general, is to put a little bit more focus on cards like Turles, and a little bit less on the leader to kind of like slow roll them. It's like your best bet. If you try to like accelerate them too quickly, it's usually going to come back to bite you. Which is kind of what, in a nutshell, it's what ends up happening in this game. Especially because
not realizing how far into the creep AOD is definitely a key element of the whole thing. Because if you end up using whatever resources you have to wipe too early, then like you can just like hop right over it like a little jump. If you end up using it too late, then like you end up steamrolling because you got going way too fast, you know. So it's a fine line that you end up having to toe. And that's really what's been going through my mind this whole game, and why the Unison has so many freaking markers at this point.
And then for me, I'm trying to stop you from using his -2 like at all costs to wipe a board, because my opening hand actually had the Silzino SCR in it. So I'm kind of trying to play. Yeah, I'm kind of trying to play around that and make it so that way I can successfully resolve that. But if you get that -2 off to wipe my board, it's not gonna happen this game.
Yeah.
So you're
absolutely, and that might have even been the play just to throw you off, just like the slightest bit.
It wouldn't have been bad. It wouldn't have been a bad choice.
Yeah,
this point I put my second Broly AOD, who's like, honestly, probably the best agent. Like, not only does he KO something, but he also checks the top 3. So here I opt to kill Symbol, and I actually briefly missed doing his top 3 since I paused to move my cards into my combo zone so they're more visible, since my setup has a lot of glare, which is a thing I'll need to work on in the future. But we fixed the top 3 effect in a little bit. We catch it and realize that I haven't done that. It ends up not being a big deal. I don't get anything important off of it. My whole plan here is to basically like run your unison down and push through all your counters and negates and whatnot. Because again, it really can be a lot. Like drum, if I swing at you instead of swinging at your unison, your activate battle to play a drum can stop multiple of my attacks cold all at the same time. You see here you've got this TP promo for it's like a free negate with legs. That guy is extremely good. And then you have like the usual red stuff.
And I just slapped him out.
Yeah. I mean, like that's pretty much what he's there for. You can only play one of them at a time, but he's like what, like a 20k double strike blocker that plays for free.
Yeah, he is exactly that. He is a 20k double strike blocker that you play for free.
And he's 10k combo power, which is like, so he's valid with the leader, so you can use the leader to get like 10,000 power if you need it. Like,
yeah, exactly. You think it can be an extra super combo if you end up using it that way for like a final swing or something.
Yeah, he's I think 100 a pop is way too much for him, but he is a very, very good card.
Yeah,
and he's definitely one of the things that
100 a pop is way too much for this card. It's a solid $25 card.
Yeah, I could see
in a niche archetype, like, you know.
Yeah, because it's for like literally one deck. Yeah,
right.
But that is what it is. Yeah, so I'm I awaken and do my other searches.
Yeah,
at this point
you
I'm trying to
the thing when you play a Broly.
Yeah, I play another Broly. At this point, I'm mostly focused on trying to get my hand as big as possible to survive next turn, and then cleanly transition into just killing you with Cell Xeno. Because I've kind of already got everything planned out, and the only way the plan falls apart is if you hit me with a second unison and wipe my board with a Demon Clan that's at 20. Which I think you have like 7 or 8 cards in your hand at this point, and you've already charged a Tambo and pitched a Tambo, so it could happen, but I just wasn't super worried about that, like that entire line of events. Of course, as it comes to find out, actually, you did actually have the ability to do that in theory if you just had the energy. Like if I lifted your unison around, you could have hit me with exactly that, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, exactly. So because I got greedy with the unison, that's really how the whole deck ends up making or breaking, you know, throughout a game, is whether or not you can control how much your opponent gets funneled through the unison. Because you only have like one avenue of attack for a lot of it. You pretty much just go through the unison, then through my leader.
Yeah, because I don't want to give you access to your activate battle on both your turn and my turn. So swinging at your unison stops you from doing that. But it also turns off a lot of your free play effects. Yeah. And even Tambourine, like one of like the main conditions for Tambourine to get bigger is having a unison with like 3 or more, or like a card underneath it, right? Like you can also have it with 3 cards in face up.
The other option is that 3 cards in life are up. So if you get me to 2 and then you get out my unison, I have to get another unison to make Tambo live.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like my game plan here, is to basically like stop you from easily clearing my board, and then just not dying next turn. But that's why I leave all my energy up, because at this point I have like 2 Android 13 negates, maybe 3, a Sensu Bean, a couple Garlic Juniors. Like I'm pretty comfortable that you can't kill me. But you know, anything could happen.
Yeah.
What were you trying to do on this turn?
What I guess I got pulled in 2 different directions, and I think that's what ended up getting me, because I both wanted to use the unison to board wipe, but I also wanted to be going for game with the Piccolo chain through the 3 drop to the 4 and then eventually to the 6. And getting caught up in those 2 lines ended up really hurting me here, because playing this second unison turned off the other line. So I at least like could have gone for game with the other line, but here I set myself up for failure, kinda, because I have a bunch of defense in my hand right now. Right now I believe I have 2 after images, I have 1 of the free plays, and I have a drum in life. So I'm not totally fragile right now, but I'm not in great shape.
Well, that's just because of who you're playing, dude. There's a lot of decks that wouldn't be able to get through that, like that much negates and defense. Like you'd be like out of the park.
Right.
It just happens to be that AOD swings so incredibly wide as opposed to tall that it's kind of difficult for you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of goes back to what I was saying before, is like the go tall decks have like a really hard time with this because of all the things I can block.
Actually, because it's so good against like really go tall strategies that are trying to hit you with like a handful of like huge swings. Like you have so many free negates and blocks and redirects that for some decks it's like impossible to push damage on. I think at this point right now you're trying to plan out how to spend like your last energy, because we talked about this afterwards, but you kind of wanted to go into the 6 drop, but you like didn't have the energy to do it.
Right. Right now what's going through my mind is like, am I actually able to make enough difference with one free play Piccolo and then evolving that versus hanging on to the energy and trying to stave it off. This is my mistake of forgetting about Cell Xeno, is I'm really at 2 life. I'm not at 6.
Yeah.
You know, like I should be planning for I may have wanted to push the gas a little bit here, and done something like maybe even swing at some of your pieces, maybe toss some of your hand away. I don't know, something. But I think the defense was not entirely the correct answer here. But we'll definitely see.
I think there's totally a world where you don't play the unison and just settle on trying to go up to like the 25 double and just kill me before I get to do anything like really scary and nasty to you.
Yeah, but here's the trick, right? Is if I were to do that, then I have now currently the Piccolo negate in my hand, the free play one. Mm-hmm. So I would be literally sacrificing defense for offense, and I'm looking at your board like, holy shit! Like,
yeah,
like that's a lot of bodies.
Yeah.
And I'm again not even thinking about Cell Xeno. I'm like, okay, cool. So they're all single strike. Most of them are 20k. I can probably combo out of a couple of them. I got a drum on board, or I'm going to. I think you counter that one. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, because I don't want you to get a drum out, because that's like a negate that like if you smartly sit on it, I have no way. It's got barrier. I have like no way to remove it since I charged a Bojack. I'm probably not going to find my second one.
Right, and I have another drum in life right now, so I'm now thinking that maybe my hand and board are defensively slanted, so maybe I should just stick with it, you know?
Yeah.
So I decide to stick with the defensive route, having the 2 after images and the Piccolo negate in my hand. I think I sack one of the after images for one of the discards that you make me do. And that was dumb.
Yeah, that
was a bad move.
Yeah, that one ends up coming back to bite you really badly, because I think you got to like...
Yeah.
I think like when we're all said and done, you get to like 45? We'll talk about the end, but I think it's like 80 or 50.
We can get there. I got to 55. I needed to get to 80.
Yeah, to 85, because I was at 80. Yeah, the after image would have saved you.
Right.
But hey,
yeah, it would have. Oh my god, it would have.
Yeah, you live and you learn.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I would have been in a really bad spot at that point, actually.
Yeah, but that's a neat thing about King Piccolo, is that like it really allows for all those like micro lines of play, like my decision there to play the uni so that I had the option to be defensive as opposed to rushing through the whole chain and swinging as much as I possibly could for the offensive option. Like I could have done one or the other, which is pretty dope, you know?
Yeah, it's a classic mid-range deck, right? Like it's got tools to try to grind its opponent out if it needs to play defense, and then it has good tools to get completely underneath its opponent if they can just kind of go bigger. Like it's got a lot of ways to draw and add and search cards. It's just kind of like a classic mid-range deck that's balanced around the fact you start at 6 life. So in theory, you're fragile against aggro decks, but honestly, you have so much defense in the deck. It's actually kind of unreal. Like for a red deck, especially, like Drum on his own pretty much says your aggro matchup isn't that bad, since he can fade 2 or 3 attacks just on his own. So it's a really cool, nifty, and very underrated deck that like like more people should pick out and give a shot. It feels kind of daunting and bad when you sit down and set 6 lives, but once you kind of get used to it and learn to roll with it, it's a really good deck. It'd be unfair.
You genuinely, I like have a saying now. Like, you're either at 7 or you're at 0. You know, you either your opponent is able to cut through your defense, or they're just not, and they can't get a single hit in, and you just annihilate them. It's wild.
Yeah, and having played against this a few times against like you and other good King Pick players, yeah, that's usually how it is. Is like I can't get through to save my life, or you know they end up losing the game, and you cut through like this like wall of demon minions and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, but back to this. Yeah, so I start by just throwing pretty much everything like directly at your face to try to get you to like play cards more or less. Starting with Turles for the extra search.
And it works. I play cards.
that is
Actually,
usually how it works.
I think I take some first.
Yeah,
I think I take the first one.
Yeah, you take a hit at the gate, I believe, and then you combo interact with the next few, which I think is right. I don't think you like played this turn wrong per se. I think the bigger issue, as I said,
I could have taken more damage. I should have taken more damage instead of negating some swings. But you'll see.
Yeah, I guess that's true. You could have opted to go to a slightly lower life total. Because
if I had remembered Cell Xeno, then I would have waited. You know, I would have rather died and not have negated the killing swing. You know, because I waited too long. You know.
Yeah, so you go to play drum here, and I know I can't get through a drum, so I've saved another 13 counterplay, literally just for this guy to get him out of there.
Right.
And plus the extra discard
so he
helps
dies,
too.
Attack something.
Yeah, you kill the 13 right out with your pick unison. But like that's an exchange I'm happy with. You know, I'm happy to pay an energy and have us both like lose a card basically, just so you don't.
That's where I pitch the after image.
yeah, literally the
so I did it during the kill turn. I did it while I was being swung at during the kill turn. I threw away in the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, you know, like these things happen, right? It's really easy to miss, and like I saw that I saw that you pitched that in the back of my head. I was thinking that, you know, he sees all of these like big swings and threats. Like he has to have another one. Is kind of what I'm thinking about. So I'm still trying to play around like the after image, and the other stuff that we already talked about, and it ends up working out. I think that's like one of like the unique strengths of AOD is like it kind of sucks that all of your swings are so low quality, but you have so many of them that it's very tough for people to kind of like sequence around your aggression. You can just kind of like, it's very easy for you to break up like how like you spread your offense, and a lot of other decks can't do that very cleanly.
Yeah, I agree.
The other thing,
being able to get in and they have like no wasted resources is definitely rare. Usually, especially if there's like a ton of green, usually you have to like really find something to spend your energy on.
Yeah, I'm actually a green player at heart. I can confirm that. Sometimes I have hands where like, you know, I don't find a unison on 2 or something, and I'm looking at my hand like I've got all this like random stuff and I can't play like any of it. I don't know how to spend the energy. It can be difficult sometimes.
Right.
The other out that I had for you against King Pick, and I never found it, but we talked about this in the profile a little bit. I actually run 3 copies of Lord Slug, Namekian Might. I never find any of them in this game. I guess they're like all hiding my life or something. But that card's really brutal against you because your leader doesn't actually draw on like either side. He only puts stuff into his life. So like all of your draw effects comes from like other card effects. And Slug would have turned that off and make you just like literally unable to draw cards, which would have been like insanely brutal for you.
Yeah, that would have been very dumb because a lot of this deck is just taking hand and putting it to life, so there's no fresh cards coming into the pool really.
Yeah, you get a lot of control and manipulation over like what's in your life, which is sometimes nice, but you are reliant on things like piano and your unison to actually like draw you cards. That's why a lot of the engines that draw you cards are so effective at it. So you play the pick negate blocker. So at this point, I know that like you probably have like an after image left is like the last thing I'm kind of thinking about, and now I'm thinking about how I can make you spend that after image. So I actually pay 2 and play the regular Android 13 here, not the counterplay one, but he's 20k critical, and like for whatever reason, people just hate taking critical damage, even if it means they have to like lose a card or 2 from hand instead. Like they'll just usually opt to like play a negate and try to get out of it.
Right.
And that's exactly what ends up happening here. You I swing and you play the after image.
Yeah, me thinking, oh, I'm out of the woods because Celzino isn't a card. Taps 1, plays an after image.
Yeah, but like that's the thing about Cell-X though. Like you don't even know if the other player's running it, especially though it's like a $500 card. Like it's a tough thing to keep in the back of your mind. That's why it always feels so bad to lose to. I guess it's like
well, that, and it's also free. It's like, why didn't you see this coming? You knew he was a green leader. Like, or I think this is black, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true as well. But so you play your after image here. You don't have anything you can reduce to kill. So I think we neg
the card that's there.
Yeah.
The one that's attacking the slug.
Yeah, you might as well just to be safe so you don't take the hit somehow. And then 3, 6, 9, 12. Income slug. Income Cell-X swings.
I got 55 combo power, and you go up to 80.
Yeah, I go up to 80 here. The rest of my hand is a Sensu Bean and 2 copies of Vegeta, actually the Vegeta Unison. I could have comboed a little differently to actually go to 85, I guess, but it's not. I figured it would be enough either way.
Right,
Yeah, and then you can get to 55, or like 50, 55 you said, so the after image totally would have done it.
Yeah.
Although I probably wouldn't have spent my hand. Yeah, such is life, that's true.
Yeah, man. Definitely GG's.
Yeah.
This was a really neat matchup, and I thought that it was going to be a little bit different, just because I know that you consistently have things that like in your deck that line up with being able to get negged or KO'd just like right off of my Unison, which is like a mandatory part of my deck. If I whiff on the Unison, like it's obviously your game, you know.
Right. But that's the flip side of it though, right? Is like all these like agents, they make advantage when they get played. So even if you want my board, I don't really care that much. It's just not that big of a deal.
Yeah, exactly, which it was neat to get that perspective, so thanks for that.
Yeah. That's going to wrap up our profile for the. If you enjoyed this kind of footage, make sure to give us a like, follow us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff like this, gameplay footage with commentary, deck profiles, all kinds of stuff.